one of the most surprising teams in the NHL this year, the Nashville Predators, who went on an insane run near the end of the season. I think they won they're on like a 16-0-2 run or something like that, something crazy. Versus another, not surprising, but maybe surprising to some, the Vancouver Canucks, who in the beginning of the season literally could not be beaten. It's going to be, maybe less interesting than some people think, or maybe Nashville can make it interesting. Darius, I'll go to you first.
Mm-hmm.
The Vancouver Canucks are heavily favored in this series, but Nashville, they seem to be the underdog all the time and have embraced that role. Do you think they can use that kind of narrative to push the Vancouver Canucks in this series?
Yeah, they're going to use the narrative and they're going to use the momentum that they've built since the whole U2 thing debacle went down. When was that? In January, I think? It's been a while,
Like
right?
that, yeah.
So they're going to use the momentum, the narrative. Everyone's picking the Canucks in 5, right? Or 4, like a sweep. They're going to use that. They've added some good pieces. Like, yes, they're a very young team. So if you asked me last year, I'd be like, no, there's not a chance, right? But they've added Ryan O'Reilly, Luke Shen, guys like that, right? They have the goaltending. That's the thing for me in the playoffs. If you have really, really good goaltending and you play a structured game and you have guys who've been there, I don't know, man. I think anything's possible. I'm not saying that they're going to beat the Canucks, but I think that they're going to use those things to their advantage. And I think they're going to make it interesting.
Yeah, certainly. When you look at guys like Philip Forsberg, who had an unbelievably good season, Gustav Nyquist, like no one's talking about this guy. I think he had career highs and everything this year. He was insanely good on Nashville. He had. Did you guys know Gustav Nyquist had 75 points this year in 81 games? I
That's
certainly
wild.
didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is easily a career high playing with Ryan O'Reilly and Philip Forsberg. It just, they added Jason Zucker at the deadline for virtually nothing. Anthony Beauvillier is, a decent depth piece they added. They're going to look very good defensively. Ryan McDonough has had a renaissance year. Last year in Nashville, he was not very good. This year, he has come back and looked as good as ever. And then, like you said, Darius, I think in this series, Vancouver probably has a better offense, probably has a better defense, but, Roman Yossi is no slouch, of course. But what it comes down to is UC Saros versus Thatcher Demko. Matt, how important is the goaltending duel between those two elite premier goalies going to be in this series?
It's going to be a duel, but it's going to be kind of different narratives on either side. For Demko, of course, he was injured, played the last game last night against Winnipeg, I do believe. So, he's just trying to ease back into that like big workload that's expected of him in the playoffs. So all he has to do is just hold the fort for Vancouver, and UC Saros, he has to survive against Vancouver. Like that's probably the only reason Nashville will ever make things close is if UC Saros holds the fort down in that Preds crease.
No, certainly. UC Saros with a 906 this year. We all know save percentage is down this year. Everyone's scoring a bunch of goals. I played 64 games, 35, 24, and 5. But in the playoffs, UC Saros has been good last year. Or, sorry, not last year. They didn't make the playoffs last year. In 22-21 was the last time UC Saros saw playoff action. He only played 6 games, but had a 9-2-1 save. So pretty decent there. Thatcher Demko, on the other hand, we know how good Thatcher Demko was throughout the season. Unfortunately, did go down with the injury, but this year at a 918 save. In 51 games, he was 35, 14, and 2. And guys, we know what Thatcher Demko can do in the playoffs. Okay, he doesn't have a lot of experience, but in that one bubble year where he played 4 games, he had a 985. A 985. That guy was not letting anything in, and somehow he still lost a game. He still lost a game with a 985.
A 985?
Yeah.
How is that even possible?
I have no idea. He
That's
was
insane.
He was on a fucking insane run of the year. But focusing on the Nashville Predators, it's interesting because you go through their lines, Forsberg, O'Reilly, Nyquist. That's an okay first line. Maybe middle of the pack in the NHL. Second line, Zucker, Sissons, Jankowski, nothing crazy. Beauvillier, Novak, Evangelista, and then Kiefer Sherwood, Michael McCarron, and Cole Smith. I look at this lineup. I know they went on their run guides, but Darius, does Nashville have a realistic chance here?
No, I wouldn't say they have a realistic chance. I think they're going to make it interesting. They're going to make some noise, and they're going to turn some heads, but I just don't know if the team as a whole is there yet. But realistically, I think Vancouver should absolutely win this series. And if they don't, then I think it says more about Vancouver if they were to lose this series than Nashville being, the better team and coming out of it. No disrespect to Nashville. I just don't think as a whole they're there yet. But they're gonna scare the Canucks fans. I think it's gonna be a nail biter at times.
Yeah, it's the first playoff run in a while for the Canucks fans. But Philip Forsberg, underrated season, 94 points, 48 goals. and Ryan O'Reilly kind of back to form, 69 points, nice, and 26 goals. So, Nashville's going to have to lean a lot on that first line to see if they can get anything done. Now let's switch over to the Vancouver Canucks, who are as deep as ever. They made that big trade deadline acquisition to get Elias Lindholm. He hasn't been that great for them, unfortunately. But, Matt, do you think Elias Lindholm has a chance to do something in the playoffs here? Surrounded by some decent players. Like, this lineup obviously not updated, but we know the kind of players Vancouver has with guys like Brock Besser, even a Dakota Joshua coming out of nowhere and scoring like 20 goals. Hoglander, Garland, all these guys. JT Miller at 100 points. Matt, how important is it for Elias Lindholm to be good in this series?
I think he'll show out in this series. You know, he had that quiet stretch of games after the when was he acquired? Not at the trade deadline,
Like a
but
week
shortly
before?
yeah, a week before the trade deadline. And the Canucks will get what they paid for with Elias Lindholm, because I do believe, like you said, he has Dakota Joshua. The Athletic says he has Dakota Joshua and Connor Garland on his wings. I mean, Connor Garland is no slouch, and Dakota Joshua, he had a very quiet but all right season. So yeah, for the Canucks to do any damage like later on in this playoff run, if anything, they need Elias Lindholm to be who they acquired for.
Of course. We already know what Elias Pettersson can do, Brock Besser, JT Miller. We know what those three can do. We don't need to over talk about them. They're gonna be important. They're gonna do what they have to. But the Canucks are gonna have to lean on a guy like Lindholm, who they paid a decent price for. In the last playoff run with Calgary, Elias Lindholm had 9 points in 12 games, and this year in the regular season did not do too great on either team he was on. With Calgary at 32 points, 9 goals in 49 games. And in Vancouver, 26 games played, 6 goals, 6 assists, making that for 12 points. But, Darius, this is going to be a huge playoff run for Quinn Hughes, who might win the Norris Trophy this year. What can Quinn Hughes do in the playoffs to, first of all, outdo a guy like Roman Josi and really have a coming-up party, cement himself as that guy in the NHL?
Well, I think he can. Like you said, he's going for the Norris Trophy this year, right? Or he's going to be a candidate at least, or a nominee, whatever wording you want to use. But I think he can be that guy. He's skilled, man. Like, and I think it's going to come on the offensive side of the puck more so. I think he's got to, contribute that way for the Canucks. But I mean, not to take away from the defensive side too, but I think he's got to, help them on the offensive zone too. That's what he does. That's his bread and butter, I think, right? So it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting to watch because he does have to be that guy, and it's his first. Has he played in the playoffs maybe once, something like that?
Yeah,
I think the bubble year, right? So he's coming in with a little bit of experience, but again, you get the crowd involved. It's gonna be different. They're wearing the throwback jerseys, right? Like, how does the mental game affect Quinn Hughes too? I think that's gonna be fun to watch, but I do think he's gonna come to play. Like, it's in his DNA. We see it with his brothers too. He's gonna come to play, and it's gonna be fun to watch. So, I wouldn't say he's gonna outduel Roman Josi though. I wouldn't say that because he did throw that in at the end. But I do think he's gonna come to play. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, like every time he holds the puck in like the offensive zone, like the Canucks are a threat. Like there's not many defensemen in the league where like you're like, oh, like they've got like an extremely high chance to score here. But like Quinn Hughes, like his poise, he's confident with the puck, and it's not like he does like make stupid decisions with it either too. Like he will do something smart with it each and every time he has the puck.
Of course, and if we look over to special teams where Quinn Hughes might do a little bit of damage, Vancouver Canucks are at a 22.6% on the power play, which is decent. I can't seem to. Where's Nashville? Oh, they're like 4 spots below them at 21.6. The penalty kill, though, if we look for the Vancouver Canucks, nothing too crazy. Middle of the pack team, similar with Nashville. Actually, they're kind of lower. But Matt, I do want to ask you: will experience be important in these playoffs? Because Nashville has guys that have been through it. Ryan O'Reilly has been through it. Phil Forsberg's been on a couple of deep runs with Nashville. Roman Josi's been on a deep run. Vancouver Canucks don't have guys that have been on these deep runs. Do you think that will play an ultimate factor into the mental aspect of the game during the series?
I think in the early stages of game one, you will see the more experienced guys like more calm. But as the series goes on, I think the depth of the Canucks will sort of overpower the experience of the Predators.
Yeah, I think at some point star power is going to come to show. So the Vancouver Canucks, they're looking pretty good over this Predators team with Darius. How do you think this series will end up being?
The Vancouver Canucks will win this series in 6 games. I think Nashville is going to push it, not to the brink, but they're going to push it. It'll be 6.
And Matt?
I'll take Vancouver in 5.
I will also take Vancouver in 5. So it is a Vancouver. Everyone picks Vancouver here on the Gritcast. It's going to be a fun series as always. Every one of these first round series look decent, aside from maybe Kings Islanders in the East. But other than that, everything is looking cool. So hopefully you guys can enjoy the playoffs. It's as we always say, most fun time of the year in sports. Stay tuned on the Gritcast. We're going to keep you guys updated. For everyone here on the show, take it easy, have a good one, and we'll see you in the next preview or next video. Peace out.
For more content, visit our YouTube channel and check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Don't forget to follow the guys on social media at Matt_Mondays, at Nick LaFlame, and at Darius Dominguez.